Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is Sunday, June 14th. It's just after 9 a.m. and this is another routine weekly inspection of hive number 1. I'm out here a lot earlier than usual, mainly because we have some weather moving through and it looks like it's going to rain the rest of the week. So if I'm not able to get into the hives now, a whole week will go by, which is not what you really want this time of year. So last week, after about 3 or 4 times going through hive number 1, I was finally able to find the queen and mark her. And what you won't see on the channel this past week is the hive inspection from number 5, because I accidentally deleted it before I was able to upload it. The last time I went through the hive when I marked the queen in number 1, I was in this hive because I was pulling some frames to get number 5 right. I moved 2 frames, I believe, from number 1. One had 2 developing queen cells, a whole bunch of eggs and larvae, and the other had some nice food. So as I go through hive number 1 today, if I come across a few frames that don't have much going on, I think that's the positions that I moved from number 1 to get number 5 going. So, kind of the same as usual, just checking for queen cells, making sure the queen has enough room to lay. She is marked, like I said, so should be pretty easy to find her. And one last thing, talking about the weather, it's been extremely wet this year, and I'm starting to think that has a lot to do with why the honey supers, or the nectar, has been very slow to be capped. Just do a quick peek into the honey super. I don't want to move anything around, but they are capping it. I mean, that's coming along. That one, the center, is very typical to be capped first. The bees are definitely in the super working it, but like I was saying, I think because of how wet it's been this year, it just hasn't been dry and hot enough for the bees to really cure the honey as fast as they did last year. A picture popped up as a memory from last year, and the end of May, I had quite a few frames of capped honey ready to be harvested. So way different this year. Alright, same as usual, checking the underside of the queen excluder for the queen. I don't see her, so we can just get into the hive. I'm going to try to move fairly quickly. Again, got some weather coming through, and if I didn't mention the temperature, it's right at 70 degrees today. So it feels good. The humidity's pretty high, but for now it doesn't feel too bad. And as you can see, mainly because of the weather again, the bees are a little cooped up in the hive, so I imagine it won't take me moving too many frames before they really start to get agitated with me. So the queen should definitely stick out this week now that she's marked, so that's a really good thing. I'm just checking to make sure she has enough room to lay still, which I'm sure she does. And just looking for swarm and supersedral cells. This is the 3rd frame. I don't have my flashlight ready, but there appears to be eggs in the 3rd frame here. But more so, look at this thing. That's completely, and this is why you need to check your hives weekly this time of year. Look at that. that is another completely capped queen cell. So, not to be too repetitive, but now that the queen's marked, it should help me out finding her quickly, or quicker, I guess. And if she's still in here, I don't really have a need for queen cells. I'm not trying to make any splits this time of year. I'm really just trying to prevent them from swarming, since I have a honeysuckle on. So unfortunately, I might have to tear that queen cell down, because I don't have a need for it right now. Yeah, there's eggs and pupated larvae throughout the other side of this frame, and I can see them on that side fairly easily too. There's some more queen cells. Let's see. Both the nuke boxes that I have are in use right now. Oh yeah. They're not, for whatever reason, the bees are just not happy with this queen. Because if you can see that or not, it's a wet queen cell. It's got a larva in there, and they're feeding it royal jelly. So that'll be capped in a matter of a week or two. Pretty nice brood pattern. Like she's laying in almost every single cell. But yeah, for whatever reason, they're just not happy with her. And I say that because those are supersedral cells on the top third of the frame. There she is right there. Very easy to find when she's marked. So they're still queen right. I just need to make a decision at this point. Let me see if I can cage her. And the only reason I'm going to cage her is because I have a few frames to go through still. Okay. So she's in the cage. Let's see if she's laying in this frame. Like it, but I mean that's where I found her, so maybe she's starting to explore. Looks like she's on that side. Man, if I had another nuke, I'd easily make a split, but it's just not that time of year. I plan on doing that in July. Looks like we have one queen cell, one capped queen cell, and another one being developed. Let me get the smoker going again. These bees are on me. Alright, I had to step away for a second. A bee got in my veil somehow, which is a first, especially with the veil that I have on. Alright, there we go. Good God. Alright, so I got two. Let me put this back together. I got one capped queen cell. I believe that's on hive number 3 outside the box. And then I have another one. This is why inspecting bees in this kind of weather is is not the funnest experience because they are agitated. Most of the bees are in the colony. Let me find, I think I already moved it. Let me find this other queen cell. Queen cup. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to put those 2 frames aside. Let's move all this stuff back. I'm just going to keep the two frames, the one with the queen cell, the capped queen cell, and the one with the developing queen cell. I'm going to keep those in the number 1 and number 2 position, just so they're easy for me to find. Because I still have to go through the rest of the hives. And this one here, number 2, has a wet queen cell. It's got a larva in it that you can clearly see they're feeding. And then the number 1 frame, this one, has a no kidding capped queen cell. So if I don't do anything with that, actually I'm going to switch those. I'm going to switch those 2 frames. So if I don't do anything with that frame, they will that frame will most likely, that queen cell will most likely hatch within the next week or so. Let me give them a little more smoke. Oh yeah, and if I didn't say so, a bee got in the veil, but that wasn't like a problem. It ended up landing on my eyelash and getting caught up. So I had to be on my eye, which I don't know about you all, but for me, that's when I start to freak out a little. Alright, let's get her released. If we can see it. There she is. Right there, marked. Very easy to find, so that definitely saved me some time today. Would have been a pretty quick inspection if I didn't have to run out of the yard because I didn't want to get stung in the eye. And Super still has some pretty nice weight to it, so I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm going to give them to the end of June to maximize any bit of nectar flow that's remaining. But yeah, unfortunately, due to the weather, most of the bees are in the colony. As you can see, the complete strength of hive number 1, and somehow they managed to find the smallest little hole and get in the veil. I think I got stung in the neck, which isn't the biggest deal, but I had one land on my left eye, which I did not want to experience what that felt like. Alright, so number 1, queen right. The number 1 and 2 frame position has a completely capped queen cell, and the other one has a developing queen cell, which will probably be capped in the next week. So if I don't do anything with those today, they will most likely swarm, and it's not what you want, especially when you have a honey super on. So I still have to go through the rest of the hives. I'll see how they're looking, and luckily, because of those 2 queen cells, if any of the hives look like they are not queen right, I can move one over and get them going in the right direction. Alright, so hopefully that is not an indication how the rest of the inspections will go, but you never know. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Cole's Farm. Not the best Sunday to be inspecting the bees, but sometimes you just have to get it done. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, Cole's Farm NC for North Carolina. And if you're in the local Jacksonville, North Carolina area, we should have our honey bottled and ready for purchase come mid-July. Alright, let's venture back down to number 1 here, see what the front entrance looks like now that I'm done inspecting. And yeah, they're a little agitated, so that's just how things go sometimes. Alright, tune in a few weeks for the follow-up inspection of this colony. Thanks for watching, everybody.